What is going on there, YouTube? And welcome back to another comic book video. This is the channel where we sit down and cover different comic book stories from Marvel, DC, and even IDW as well. Over the last couple years, we have been covering the Ultimate Marvel Universe, and we are now in the post-Ultimatum phase, and we are once again going to pick back up with the Ultimate Avengers Volume 2. This is the second story for the Avengers, and it tries to bring in new characters and also tries to rework some old characters, hoping fans would want to see more of these characters. And so if you like today's comic book video, please leave me a like down below and also subscribe to the channel for more content to come in the near future. But I do hope you enjoy today's video. So this is the first story in the Ultimate Marvel Universe that really put the Punisher in the spotlight, because before this, Punisher was really a joke in some previous stories as a way to move the story forward for writers. And so the first few pages, we watch the Punisher just wreak havoc against a bunch of monsters. We learn that the Punisher is going around the world killing 200 people because there's a guy in Russia named the Red Hammer who is a kingpin in Russia, but is trying to make a move in the US. Now, while the Punisher is killing all of these people, we learn very quickly that Ultimate Punisher origin is somewhat similar to his main Marvel Universe counterpart. Also, with him killing all of these monsters across the nation, Red Hammer decides he needs to come to the US to deal with the Punisher. Now we think we see this Red Hammer guy here in the US, and it seems like he could be planning to find the Punisher to get rid of him, except that is when we see that the Punisher is pretending to be one of Red Hammer's men to get close to him and kill him. The problem is that this is not Red Hammer. This is actually Captain America in disguise and was sent here by S.H.I.E.L.D. to capture Punisher, since this man has gone around killing 200 people, and Red Hammer was sent back to Russia as soon as he arrived in the country. But you have Captain America beat down the Punisher, and the Punisher is captured by Captain America. Now, of course, the Punisher does not go to jail. Instead, we see that he is being recruited by Nick Fury in his Avengers team. The Ultimate is the team that is well known to the world. The Avengers are the Black Ops team. Now, Nick Fury tells the Punisher that his goal is to have someone on the team to be their Captain America in a way. And they want the Punisher to be that person, but no new code name. Really, it is a way for Marvel to put him in a new Captain America outfit. Now, someone asked Nick Fury, where is Jane Rhodes, who is also known as War Machine? That is when Nick Fury tells the team that he is off to recruit the original Hulk, not Bruce Banner Hulk, someone who came before Bruce Banner Hulk. And so you had a story shift over to South America, where we pick up with this dude who is built like a Hulk, except we see that he is not a savage like Bruce Banner Hulk, where it seems that he is someone who is a kingpin of sort. He has a mansion, girls everywhere, and guards with weapons. And these guys are not your usual kind of guards. And this is our first appearance of Tyrone Cash. We learned that Tyrone Cash was actually the mentor of Bruce Banner, and we learned this through a flashback where we see Bruce Banner is learning about how to recreate the super soldier serum, that they have one thing in common. They want to use the formula for themselves because they hate the way they look and how they act, hoping the serum will make them bigger and better looking, also make them not be socially awkward. Now you can put it together that Tyrone Cash took the drug himself, and it worked. He was able to make the Hulk formula where it did not lead into him turning into a savage monster. We see him in the present day being greeted by War Machine, and just like the Punisher, Nick Fury is trying to recruit Tyrone Cash for an important mission. Now we also learn that after Tyrone Cash took the formula and became the first kind of Hulk, he actually left his family and went on to be some kind of warlord or kingpin in South America. This leads into Tyrone and War Machine actually fighting against each other, and the fight is pretty epic. It leads to all of Tyrone Cash Island being destroyed. Almost everyone who was on the island is now dead. Now at first, it does seem like a fair battle between the two of them, and War Machine is actually giving Tyrone a run for his money. Except at the end of the fight, we see that Tyrone Cash wins the fight and is about to kill War Machine until War Machine tells him that if he dies, S.H.I.E.L.D. will tell Tyrone's Cash family that he is still alive, and he does not want that. And so he stops attacking War Machine, and Tyrone is told about joining the Avengers. Now you have Nick Fury bring everyone in for this mission, which is Tyrone Cash, Hawkeye, Punisher, the new Black Widow, and War Machine. Everyone wants to know what is the mission and who was the one telling Nick Fury to take care of this problem. And Nick Fury tells them that it came from the Vice President, and they're going after Ultimate Ghost Rider. This is the first appearance of Ultimate Ghost Rider in this universe. Now you have Nick Fury explaining why the mission is to go after Ghost Rider, where we learn that Ghost Rider has been going around killing some random rich people. At first, this tells us that the people who died must be close to the Vice President in some way, that it made him tell Nick Fury to go after Ghost Rider. Now, Punisher is quick to tell Nick Fury no about going on to this mission. To him, these rich people dying most likely were crooked and should have been killed, and so he tries to walk away. But that is when you have the new Black Widow, aka Monica Chang, tell us that they put something into the Punisher that shocks him anytime he tries to disobey an order or tries to leave S.H.I.E.L.D. And this is the same thing they did with the Red Wasp, because she was a villain who was forced to be a good guy now. Punisher is being forced to work for S.H.I.E.L.D. They are hoping this will work to control the Punisher. But this leads into Tyrone Cash and War Machine going to the most recent crime scene to find out what happened here, where all they find are dead bodies in a house that was wrecked. And War Machine asks the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents if there was some kind of connection with the victims, and the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents tell Rhodey that they cannot find any connections at all between them. But what is crazy is that Ghost Rider left one survivor in the most recent attack, and Tyrone and Rhodey are confused why this one guy was left behind. And we see on his neck that he has a cross, meaning that the cross is a weakness to Ghost Rider. But the story shifts over to Hawkeye and the Punisher, waiting at a landing strip for a plane to land, because S.H.I.E.L.D. thinks this person who owns the plane is next. But this section is the beginning of building the bond between Hawkeye and the Punisher. The reason why I say that is because both of these men lost their families due to an attack, and they both went with the idea that all bad people should be killed no matter what the crime is. Now, before their bond can be built to a level where they can call each other brothers, that is when Ghost Rider appears at the landing strip. This is where we get to see how powerful the Ghost Rider is, because we see him on his bike and being able to jump off the ground of the landing strip where he blows up the plane in the sky and grabs the person he was after. In just a blink of an eye, S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers fail to prevent him from grabbing the man on the plane. Except you have Hawkeye fire a missile which blows Ghost Rider off his bike and leads into us about to see Ghost Rider fighting against S.H.I.E.L.D., Hawkeye, and the Punisher. This leads into the Punisher going in to fight against the Ghost Rider on his own, because the suit S.H.I.E.L.D. gave him gives him extra strength. And S.H.I.E.L.D. is hoping that the Punisher, who is a well-trained killer and now a suit that gives him an extra boost, will be able to take down the Ghost Rider. And at first, it may seem like the Punisher will be able to take down the Ghost Rider. Except Ghost Rider is not your normal being on Earth, and he begins the process to beat down on the Punisher to the point the suit begins to fall apart. But that is when a cross is revealed, and it makes Ghost Rider leave and to see the Avengers another day. But the story reminds us that Gregory Stark is part of the team, but to remind us of some bad blood between some characters. For example, there is bad blood between Carol Danvers and Nick Fury because Carol Danvers replaced Nick when he was kicked out of S.H.I.E.L.D. and left in another dimension. The second example of bad blood comes from Gregory Stark and Tony Stark. We know that there is some bad blood between them because Gregory feels like he should have been the one to inherit the company from their father. But you had the story remind us about the Spider, this character who we have no idea about. The last thing we heard was that he is the clone of Spider-Man and Charles Xavier, but that was supposed to be a joke. We learned that he knows the origin of Ghost Rider, and he only tells Monica and Hawkeye in exchange for information. And so she tells us what happened between her and Nick Fury, that basically Nick Fury cheated on her with her friends and her family, which is wild. When the Spider gets the information he wanted, he goes on to tell us about the origin of Ghost Rider. We learned that this Ghost Rider is of course Johnny Blaze, but we learned that his origin is different from his main Marvel Universe counterpart. We learned that he had a girlfriend named Roxanne, and they traveled all over the world on his motorcycle, except one day he met a group of men who seemed nice at first, but the problem is that at the end of the night, they killed both Johnny Blaze and Roxanne. They cut Johnny Blaze's throat open as part of a ritual to be able to make deals with Mephisto so they can be successful in life. Once they die, their souls will be taken away by Mephisto. Now, they were able to get what they wanted, but Mephisto also made a deal with Johnny Blaze to become his Ghost Rider, and Johnny will be able to go after the men who killed him and Roxanne. But also, with Johnny Blaze taking this deal, Roxanne will be brought back to life. This is where we learn why the Vice President sent Nick Fury in the Avengers after Ghost Rider, where the Spider tells us that the Vice President was one of the people who took part in the ritual to make a deal with Mephisto, because the ritual was basically to make them very successful in life. And as you can see, he has become successful. He is the Vice President. Then the story jumps forward a couple hours, and you have the Avengers already there and getting set up around the White House, getting ready when the Ghost Rider does come here to make an attempt to kill the Vice President. But while the Avengers are outside the White House, inside the White House, you have the Vice President meeting up with Mephisto, where now you have Mephisto and the Vice President making a new deal. And the original deal was that everyone who took part of that ritual would give their soul to Mephisto once they die. And so now you have the Vice President taking on a new deal. This deal, of course, is to give something Johnny Blaze to fight. So we are not just getting one Ghost Rider in this book, we're about to get two Ghost Riders in this book, because this is what Mephisto wanted, to be honest. He wanted to put these two against each other, but he knew either way he would get what he always wanted, which is their souls. And so while you have everyone outside becoming somewhat friends, like Hawkeye and the Punisher, who are very similar to a degree, that is when at the front gate you have Johnny Blaze slowly turning into the Ghost Rider. Then out of nowhere you have this big explosion happen, and we see the Vice President has been turned into a new Ghost Rider. Now at first the Avengers think that this is the Ghost Rider that some of them met before and has already killed the Vice President. They don't know that this is the Vice President, but this leads into a battle with the Avengers and Ghost Rider. Monica Chain tries to go in first, and she's taken out very quickly. But then you have War Machine and Tyrone Cash jump into the battle, with them being the big guns. And you think that this fight is about to be wrapped up very quickly. They are throwing everything at the Ghost Rider, and it seems like that they're about to win this battle in a matter of seconds, except they come to realize that nothing is working on the Vice President Ghost Rider. And so we are watching the Vice President Ghost Rider just beat down the Avengers. But then you have Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider appear. That is when everyone realized that something is up with there now being two Ghost Riders. But Johnny Blaze is here to make a point that he is not here to play around, that he wants to kill the vice president for everything he did to him and Roxanne back in the day. And this is going to be the end of it all. Now again, Johnny Blaze is beating down the vice president Ghost Rider, which makes sense because this is the vice president, first time being the Ghost Rider. And for Johnny, this is not his first time. He's been the Ghost Rider for a while now. But getting back to the fight where Ghost Rider Johnny Blaze is about to kill off the vice president Ghost Rider. And you have S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers step in and blow him away with their weapons and stuff. Then they try to attack the other Ghost Rider to only end up being blown away as well by the Vice President Ghost Rider. But you have Tyrone Cash step in and we see him riding one of the Ghost Rider's bikes, which is honestly pretty cool to see. But this leads into another round of Tyrone Cash fighting against the Vice President Ghost Rider, where this fight is wrapped up very quickly because even though Tyrone Cash is classified as a Hulk, he is still not strong enough to stop a Ghost Rider. And so you have the Vice President Ghost Rider getting ready to kill Tyrone Cash, but Tyrone is saved by Johnny Blaze. Now you have Johnny Blaze take the Vice President into a nearby church. Remember, anything that has to do with God is a weakness for them when they're in their Ghost Rider form. And so they are quickly turned into their regular human form and begin to do battle between each other in the church, where at first it seemed like the vice president was about to be killed by Johnny Blaze finally, only for us to see Johnny start to lose the battle and now he's about to be killed off by the vice president. Luckily for him, the Punisher was there to shoot the vice president away. Now the first shot was only in the shoulder, but of course you have the Punisher actually shoot the vice president in the head as well, and so he is now killed off. But this leads into the Punisher talking about killing off Johnny as well, except Johnny reminds the Punisher that they are the same kind of person, meaning that they both lost their loved ones to an evil person, and so the Punisher let the Ghost Rider leave. Now you have Hawkeye ask the Punisher where in the world is Johnny Blaze at, and he tells Hawkeye that he let him go. Hawkeye is angry because their mission was to kill off Johnny Blaze or at least bring him in. And you have the Punisher tell him that he is doing a good thing killing off bad people. That part right there makes the Punisher, Hawkeye, and Ghost Rider alike. They all lost their family because of bad people. And they all turn to people who have been on a warpath to get rid of bad people. And so you have the Punisher ask Hawkeye to help him escape as well. He wants to know where the obedient chip is at. They put inside the Punisher, and Hawkeye punches the Punisher right in the face. The story closes on a few things happening, which the first is that we get an update on what is going to happen to Ghost Rider, where he and Mephisto are making a deal that as long as Ghost Rider brings souls to Mephisto, then Roxanne will stay alive, because in their last deal, when Johnny Blaze became Ghost Rider, part of the deal was that Mephisto will bring Roxanne back to life. So as long as Johnny Blaze keeps bringing souls to Mephisto, then Roxanne can stay alive again. Then we jump back to S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers, where you have Nick Fury yelling at Hawkeye for punching the Punisher in the face, because the obedient disc was put in the Punisher's third tooth on the left side. And so with the obedient disc gone, the Punisher was able to escape and go on with his life as the Punisher again. And so the story ends on that note, where the team really did not win anything at all, except them getting Tyrone Cash on their team. And this is where we're going to end today's video. And so guys, please leave me a like down below and also subscribe to my channel for more content to come in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I'm out of here and I'll see you on the next comic book video. Later, guys.